The metal teeth of my harvester stopped inches from her cherry-red Porsche, so close I could see my own reflection warped in the paint like a funhouse mirror. The only thing separating 2 tons of farm steel from imported ego was a pair of fuzzy dice swinging gently from her rearview mirror. Behind that car, my barn doors were sealed shut, and inside that barn, 20 cows were bawling like the world was ending. And all I could hear in my head was Karen's voice from that morning, light, smug, dripping with citrus perfume and superiority. "It's just for a few hours, babe. I need the aesthetic for my yoga retreat." "Not today, Karen. Not during feed time. Let me back up a sec." 12 hours earlier I'd been on my porch with lukewarm coffee, watching the sun climb over the cornfields like it had done every day of my life. Roy had rolled up in his dented pickup to drop off a water tank for the goats. We talked diesel prices, the heat wave, and how Martha's prize hen was brooding on a pile of golf balls. Small town stuff. Predictable. Peaceful. Then Karen blew in like a scented hurricane at the farmer's market. She was relatively new in town, one of those HOA royalty types who moved to the countryside but wanted it curated. Lululemon, oversized sunglasses, talking about intentional living like the rest of us had been accidentally living all these years. Her husband made tech money. Something with teeth. I never got a straight answer, and honestly I didn't care. What I did care about was when she accused me of hoarding her pre-reserved jar of Manuka honey. "For my livestock," she shrieked in front of half the town. Now goats do like sweet things, I won't lie, but I laughed. And that laugh, that was gasoline on a fire. She stomped her foot like a toddler denied a toy, told me I'd regret humiliating her, and stormed off in a cloud of moral outrage. I shrugged it off, until I drove back to the farm and saw her Porsche backed up so tight to my barn door it was practically kissing the lock. No note. No explanation. Just entitlement on 4 wheels. I called. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. I even walked down toward her yoga retreat setup, all white tents and influencer smiles, but some assistant intercepted me with that polished, weaponized politeness. By noon the inside of that barn was turning into an oven. Fans were running, sure, but without the doors open the air wasn't circulating right. And livestock doesn't care about petty drama. They just need water, shade, air. I called the sheriff. He said since it was private land, they couldn't tow without a court order. Might take a few days. I had hours. Maybe. Roy said what I already knew. "You still got the big green beast gassed up?" "My harvester. Blades like surfboards. Engine that could wake the dead. Parked 30 feet away." I tried reason first. Taped a polite warning to her windshield. Waited an hour. Even drove back into town hoping she'd come to her senses. Instead I saw her lounging under a canopy with crystal-wearing influencers, laughing like nothing in the world was wrong. That's when something inside me shifted. I called Martha. Now here's the twist nobody saw coming. Martha used to be a lawyer. Big city. High-rise office. She traded it all for goats and quiet. She read the state agricultural statutes in about 5 minutes flat. "You're covered," she said. "Emergency livestock access. Private land. Necessary equipment. Film everything." She paused. "And wear a nice hat." So I did. Roy brought lawn chairs. The intern who milks cows on weekends brought his phone. Martha brought sweet tea and lemon bars. It looked less like a confrontation and more like a county fair with a front row seat. I climbed into the harvester, adjusted the seat, turned the key. The engine roared. I rolled forward slow. Real slow. The first nudge was gentle. The Porsche creaked like an aluminum can under a boot. The second push was firmer. The hood crumpled. The mirror snapped. Fuzzy dice swung wildly like they were praying. Nobody said a word except Roy muttering, "Holy moly," and Martha whispering, "This is better than cable." By the time I'd made enough space to swing the barn doors open, the front end of that Porsche looked like modern art. But when the fresh air rushed into that barn, and those cows started breathing easier, that sound, that mattered more than any paint job ever would. I parked the harvester. Stepped down. Looked at what I'd done. It was horrifying. It was magnificent. And it was entirely preventable. By morning, the intern's video had gone viral. Hashtags exploded. Porsche pancake trended for hours. Memes popped up faster than weeds in July. Karen returned at sunrise and let out a scream that sent ducks scattering across the pond. She stormed toward the wreckage in designer flip-flops, phone already recording. "This man destroyed my vehicle. He's dangerous. Tag my lawyer." I leaned on the fence post, sipping coffee, letting her perform. When she noticed the laminated agricultural statute taped to the barn door, she scanned it like it was written in another language. "That's not real law," she spat. But it was. News crews showed up by mid-morning. Reporter in heels stepping around cow pies. I gave one sentence. I opened the barn to keep animals alive. The law's on my side. Karen, meanwhile, claimed emotional trauma from agricultural aggression. Yeah, that happened. The courtroom a week later smelled like coffee and old paperwork. Judge Miller looked like a man who'd rather be anywhere else. Karen wore a neck brace she hadn't needed the day before. Claimed psychological distress. Claimed I'd weaponized a harvester. When the judge asked why she'd parked in front of 3 "Do Not Block" signs, she said the lighting was ideal for photos. He blinked twice. Martha presented temperature records, vet statements, time-stamped footage of cows bawling. The audio echoed through the courtroom, that desperate sound filling the silence. The judge leaned back. Evidence strongly supports justifiable action during a documented emergency. Karen's face cracked. But she wasn't done. She tried to use her HOA to restrict my machinery within 600 feet of community boundaries. Redrew their map overnight to press against my property line. Problem was, my grandfather had registered right-of-way access 50 years ago. Grandfathered in. Irony tastes sweet sometimes. Then she filed a rezoning petition listing my farm as semi-commercial, trying to drown me in red tape. Roy's niece at the zoning office spotted forged signatures. One belonged to an official dead 2 years. Ink matched across every name. Fraud investigation launched. HOA backed away like someone touching a hot stove. Then came her final play. Her husband's company filed plans to build a wellness retreat bordering my south pasture. Chakra gardens, sound baths, serenity domes. But weeks earlier, I'd filed a conservation easement on that very boundary. Inspection fast-tracked after the Porsche incident. Approved within 48 hours. That buffer zone killed their entire development. When we uncovered water diversion plans that would have flooded my irrigation trench, local headlines turned brutal. Yoga retreat threatens family farm. They withdrew quietly. A week later I saw a moving truck outside the Palmer house. Boxes flying. Karen shouting orders. Next morning I found a note taped to my harvester. "I underestimated you. You fight dirty but fair. I'm leaving. Don't forget to move that car." I stared at that Porsche for a long time. Didn't feel like victory. Felt like closure. I towed it to the southern boundary, welded it to a steel platform, and mounted a wooden sign above it. "Blocked this barn, now guards the land." Below it, private property. It became a roadside attraction. Kids climbed on the harvester during agriculture week. Someone made t-shirts that said, "Don't block my barn." A mediator later offered me a settlement, big number, if I'd remove the monument and stay quiet. I slid the folder back. Keep your check. Because the truth is, money wasn't what fed those cows that day. Community did. 3 weeks later, life felt normal again, or a new version of it. A kid handed me a comic book called The Harvester Avenger. I laughed until my ribs hurt. But here's the thing. This was never about crushing a Porsche. It was about what happens when someone mistakes aesthetics for authority. When they think influence can override responsibility. When they park arrogance in front of real work. Standing your ground isn't glamorous. It's messy. It can make you look crazy. But sometimes, when the air is too hot and lives depend on you, you don't get the luxury of polite. You just act. And when I look out over my fields now, harvester parked quiet beside the barn, cows lowing softly in the dusk, I don't see drama. I see a line that held. So let me ask you something. If someone blocked your barn, whatever that barn represents in your life, would you wait politely? Or would you push back? Drop your thoughts. Tell me where you draw the line between restraint and responsibility. Because out here, in a world that keeps rewarding noise and nonsense, sometimes justice doesn't come in a courtroom. Sometimes it comes with steel teeth, local laughter, and a whole lot of mooing.